everyone! Welcome to the Becoming a First-Rate Duelist podcast with me, 5th-Rate Duelist, and today's guest is Esala W. So, if you don't know, this is a podcast where I interview pro players and Farfa, and it is super dope. They give us good advice, and MBT was also on this as well. So, MBT and Farfa are pro, streamers and YouTubers. Esala is a pro player who has been to Worlds and is a Konami Master Duelist commentator and also won a YCS but then lost the same YCS or something, right? Do you want to explain that? Because that is confusing.
So it was the first ever 3v3 YCS. Okay. And my team was myself, Jesse Cotton, and Aaron Chase Furman. Jesse and Furman, mind you, are already champions at this point. And we make it all the way to the finals. I have not lost in Top Cut yet. So, I am currently all the way undefeated in Top Cut, right? Mm-hmm. And I win my match in the finals. So, if had it been a normal YCS, I would be the YCS champion. I have won every single round of the YCS Top Cut. They both lose. Oh. So I did not win the YCS, and I watched the guy I beat get the trophy. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I would probably be really pissed, but only if it's a Kaiba trophy, because that's kind of the only trophy I care about at this point. I almost won it. There were 39 people. I got first place, but they were like, sorry, there has to be 40 people in order for us to give out this Kaiba trophy. I have this Yugi trophy, but I don't care about Yugi. It's very low quality. It's like 480p resolution. It's so bad. But I want the Kaiba one, and that's kind of all I talk about, so you might hear me bring it up. But anyway, we're not here to listen to me talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! TV. Oh yeah, by the way, you should probably know what Yu-Gi-Oh! TV is. Yu-Gi-Oh! TV is what you commentate. So it's the Konami live stream, but I call it Yu-Gi-Oh! TV. And
oh, sure, okay.
I want to be on Yu-Gi-Oh! TV. So that's my goal, because the qualifiers are next weekend.
Okay.
And so I've been practicing, and I want to get on Yu-Gi-Oh! TV. And if I get on Yu-Gi-Oh! TV, you should interview me. I think that'd be funny, because I interview you, and then you would interview me.
Okay. Oh, so, okay. I wasn't sure what you meant about being on it. If you wanted to be a commentator, that requires a lot of. Okay.
Screw that. I don't want to be a commentator.
Okay.
I want to be in the spotlight. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to be a player? Sure. That's doable. That's very doable.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't been playing very long. I've been playing competitively since January. But okay. I don't know. I won locals 8 times. But that doesn't really mean anything. And I topped every other time. All with different Drytron lists. I've tried them all. Sorry, I'm very obsessed with Drytrons as well. Anyway, okay, let's get to the questions. Alright, how long have you been playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
Okay, so I played, or no, I didn't. I collected the cards when I was a kid because I really liked the show. I didn't, start picking it up with the intention to, play by the rules of the game until I was in either very late 8th grade or early 9th grade. And then I started traveling or competing at not traveling, but competing at a local level, I want to say in 2010. That's when I'd say I started.
How old were you at that point?
We're talking 14.
You started playing competitively when you were 14?
Jesse's been playing competitive since he was 5. But so, I mean.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, we start early, yeah, because that's just I don't even I wouldn't say competitively. I started playing when I was in 2010, 2011, so when I was 14. Competitively, I think I define that by when I started traveling to events, when I would actually book a flight and go to a YCS somewhere else, and that wasn't until 2015 after I graduated high school. So I was 18.
Wait, how old are you now?
25.
Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Sweet. So, what was your first deck then?
My very first playable deck was a deck called Macro Monarch. It was with DD Survivors, Caius, the Shadow Monarch, Macrocosmos, and Dimensional Fisher. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. But I like Caius, and I still like Caius to this day. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's cool. what deck do you play right now, or decks? I'm sure you play multiple ones.
Well, I mean, right now there's not really anything to look forward to, like because of the way we play, we don't really play that much. We usually just play event to event. So back when events were around, it was like always YCS to YCS, and if there's no event, we don't play.
Uh-huh.
So if I was to go to a local uh, today or like this week, I would probably play Dragon just because that deck's fun and I've had a lot of success with Dragon cards and they're very loyal to me. So yeah, like it's either Dragon or Drytron between those two.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't play Drytron because that's my deck. I don't like it when other people play my deck.
I promise you I played it first, but okay.
Probably. I didn't pick it up till very late. Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your Yu-Gi-Oh accomplishments?
Okay. So, biggest one I want to say is going to Worlds in 2017. I went via Worlds points, and that was the first year for Worlds points where instead of just having to get top six at the WCQ, you had if the top two players that accumulated the most invite points, which basically means like every time you go to a regional, there's an invite given, and based on how you fell on standings, whether like so first place gets the max amount of invites given at that regional. Like if it was a 48 person, or sorry, if it was a 48 point invite given out regional, then first place gets 48 points, and then second gets 47th, and down the line. So they tally up all of those, YCS is included, and then at the WCQ, when the last bit of points are counted, the top two players, only two, get to go to Worlds, and I finished first. Uh,
Oh, wow.
so I think that was my biggest accomplishment. I won the Invitational in April. I have gotten second at two different YCSs. I've gotten fourth at four different YCSs, and I think total I have 20 tops. So
Okay. Awesome. That's excellent. Cool. I have the only thing that I can sort of brag about is getting second place at Gamer's Choice, which had 180 people.
that's
And
nothing.
that was my first big tournament too. It was funny because I beat all these pro players, but I didn't know they were pro players till Cody told me about it afterwards. He's like, "Oh, you beat that guy? He just won two LCSs," and I was like, "What?"
Oh, Blake.
Yeah.
Blake and Sebastian.
Oh man, Blake. God, that was like it was super boring because he was playing Drytron with perfection and I was playing Drytron with ultimateness. I didn't have a great list, but I was. It was the quarterfinals. No, the semifinals, and then I went first and set up a board he couldn't break, and then he went first and set up a board I couldn't break, and then I go and I activate Instant Fusion to make Millennium Eyes, and then I add something and he activates Droll, and then I activate Millennium Eyes, and then he discards two Orange Light, and then I discard Orange Light and Eva, and then he has two cards left. I banish to get Diviner, I go full combo, and it was super nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, Drytron mirrors are generally not interesting, but that I mean that's sometimes the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I got really
Combo mirrors suck.
frustrated.
Com- Combo mirrors suck so bad. But yeah, I mean that. There you go. You beat him fair and square.
Yeah, so that was dope.
You are
And
now
then,
officially better than Blake.
oh, nah. I mean, I just got really freaking lucky when it came down to it. But yeah, he was a really sweet guy. And then I played Carter Wicks in the finals, and he just 2-0'd me. But to be fair, I made him go first because I thought like, oh, Sky Striker, you make them go first. Yeah, that was not a good idea. Um, and
Drytron
then,
is a more powerful deck, and you're just giving their Shark Cannons value. But yeah,
yeah.
eh.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I was very new to the deck. It was kind of like miraculous that I even like topped with it because I just picked up the deck, and like 10 days before was my first locals with it, and I got last place, and then I got second place and won a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So that was cool. But then I like freaked out and was like, it was a fluke, and then I did the remote to YCS and I scrubbed out. And then I won a bunch of locals. And now my confidence is like, like that. Do you ever face that? You know, like confidence issues?
Yes, we all definitely do. Because like, I mean, there's a lot of big swings, and there are the ruts that we face. Sometimes like we'll go on dry streaks. Like there was a point where I think I didn't top like 3 or 4 YCs in a row, and I thought I would never top again. And like I mean, it hits you hard a little bit, but then you get like one, and then you kind of just bounce back. So you just kind of have to like wait it out. It's not always your time, and maybe sometimes you're doing something wrong, you need to look at it a little bit differently. Maybe you can go over what it is that has been causing issues, but sometimes it's just, not your time. And like it's a card game, things can go wrong, and sometimes you're not mentally all there. Like everyone has a bad day. So
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it was definitely like a roller coaster emotionally, and Cody was like, "You need to freaking calm down and stop like freaking out." But I don't know. I'm trying to like work on my anxiety, and hopefully in the qualifiers next weekend I can do okay. So yeah, and then we can get on Yu-Gi-Oh TV, and by then probably the ban list will be out. Do you think they're gonna hit Drytron?
I think if they're gonna hit anything, it's Drytron. They have to hit Drytron.
No, I just learned that deck. Oh my god. So if I get on Yu-Gi-Oh TV, I will not have a deck to play, basically.
It depends on like when they decide to release the ban list. I mean, yeah, more than likely because it's end of October, so I really hope there's a ban list by then. So
Oh, I don't even know when it is, honestly. I just know I want to be on it.
yeah, like so, the North American one is scheduled for late October, and then for some reason the Latin American one, instead of being back to back, is 2 weeks after or so. So I know for a fact that Burst of Destiny is legal for the Latin American one, but not the North American one, and that's how I can maintain the timelines on it. The Latin American one would be a lot more interesting than ours, sadly.
Yeah.
So
I talk to a lot of people and they're just tired of this format. They're just like, can Burst of Destiny come out? What
yeah,
kind of archetypes are you looking forward to in Burst of Destiny?
I mean, Sword Soul is the one that everyone's talking about. I really don't like the Flunderies cards. I just don't think they're very impressive.
They're so cute
Uh,
though. I want to play
the art's good.
Flunderies.
It's such a going first deck, and I really hate like decks that can only really get value going first. They can't really play into boards and anything like that. They're really bad into interruption. Like there are way more negatives to the deck than positives, but like it's one of those decks that if you play it, you will 100% win some because you just won the die roll, and like you won't be able to win the tournament, or you might be able to win the tournament, but your chances are a lot lower than everyone else's. But you will 100% win some just because you got to go first, and it makes everyone else's tournament experience that much worse. So
Oh
I
yeah.
hate those decks. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, like, I picked Drytron because I like the pictures. Like, it's not very complicated. I just like the pictures. And then now I'm like, oh, Flunderies. I like the pictures. Let me play that. But I kind of lucked out by liking a deck that is really good. But now I like a deck that everyone says sucks. So I'm going to have to get over that, I guess. Or maybe I will break Flunderies. Maybe I will be the best Flunderies nuts players. Think about that, guys. So, yeah.
Those happen sometimes.
Is there any other archetypes you were looking forward to in Burst of Destiny, or is that pretty much it?
I really like the Evil Twin cards. Like, I just think they are really high value, and I think they are just very shiny because like the entire deck just comes like super high rarity. I think it kind of hits the mark because of like how reliant they are on hand traps and how like there aren't enough good hand traps to play, for them at least. So uh, the Destiny Hero cards are very cool too. There's like a bunch of like really random cards that are really good in that set. Like Small World will eventually have to be good. The level 11 Rock Monster is really good. And there's like a bunch of cards I'm forgetting because the set is actually just so packed with good cards. But like the Sword Soul is for sure the standout. I think that's like the most interesting thing so far coming out of it, assuming there's not some other combo deck that'll just ruin the potential meta that comes with it.
Oh man. Yeah, maybe I'll pick up Sword Soul. Tack told me to pick up Sword Soul.
It's a
So,
good deck. You can't go wrong. But you have a lot of ways you can play it. So
okay, cool. Yeah, maybe after I get on, after the qualifiers, I'll start practicing with it and stuff like that. I think that would be pretty cool. Great.
there's no harm in practicing with it early. Just before the cards are out. I know like we've done a lot of content on it already. Just like given because there's nothing else to do with this format. So and we're not planning to play any more qualifiers or anything like that. So it's we have been just mainly focusing on whatever we can with new cards out. B Troopers though, if depending on what the new wave of support looks like for B Troopers, that could also be a really cool deck. So
Oh man.
I guess shouldn't forget about that one.
Yeah, we can't forget about Bee Troopers. Yeah, it's an interesting deck. I just don't like bugs. So,
Okay, sure.
I don't know. As you can see, I'm a very professional Yu-Gi-Oh player that puts a lot of thought into what I play. But
Like Misty with Caterpie. Like if anyone remembers like Gen 1 Pokemon.
yeah, I'm probably just like Misty when it comes to bugs. I freak out when I see them. I played against Bee Troopers in a freaking tournament, and I was just grossed out the whole time. Uh, yes, that is the guy where I said GG and he said not really and disconnected. Oh my god. Yeah, but
Oh, just a real deal beat trooper guy. Okay, you can't do that in person. I mean, you can, but like, you're not disconnect. I guess you just
yeah,
walk away awkwardly.
yeah, and that's a much slower process. But yeah, like Coder was there and he was streaming, and so he was like taken aback, and I was laughing because I thought it was funny, and so now it's like a meme. I even made like an emote, guys. By the way, if you want to sub, it's a not really emote. See, there it is, guys. You can check it out. But anyway, let's see. Yeah, so we'll see what's up. I think B Troopers probably has potential. I just don't like the way they look. What is the? Oh wait, no. I'm gonna tell you that story about Duel Academy. Okay, so basically, someone told me about Duelist Academy, and for anyone who doesn't know, that's like a Patreon of all these pro players that offer coaching and guidance via videos and essays and stuff like that. Did I explain Duelist Academy correctly, Esala?
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, like
All right.
that is what we offer.
So if you want to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh, you can go to Duelist Academy. I go to Cody, but you could also go to Duelist Academy. And so like a long time ago, someone told me about Duel Academy, and like I just thought it was just like a bunch of guys who really liked Yu-Gi-Oh GX. Like I didn't take it seriously. I didn't realize that there were like pro players, and so I just kind of like brushed it off. Like, oh, I think I'm good on my own. I don't need to go to them for Yu-Gi-Oh advice because I didn't realize that you guys were like pro players. And then I was just kind of like scrolling, and I stumbled upon your Patreon, and I looked at the list, and I was like, oh my, this is actually legit. But I'm
I like
pretty
to
sure
think
it's
so.
Duel Academy, not Duelist Academy, right, guys? Any GX
We
fans?
we can't say that for many reasons.
Wait, you can't say Duel Academy?
Like we can't pretend to be Dual Academy because then that's a whole other issue, right? Like then we get into copyright and everything. Duelist Academy is like different enough that we're not like highlighted. Like it's probably still like if we become like really big or anything, it would still be a problem. But we can't just directly take that name. That is not allowed.
Oh, that is why you call it Duelist Academy. Because I was like, wow, these guys are noobs. They don't know proper terminology.
No, there's a lot of things you can't do with legal things. So that is one of them. So yeah.
Okay, well, that makes a lot more sense, guys. As you can see, I'm also a very professional Yu-Gi-Oh player, very intelligent as well. Alright, here's a big money question. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, um, assuming in the game, right?
I mean, we could do
Let's
both. Life advice. I could use life advice. I'm a mess. But we'll start with Yu-Gi-Oh!
uh, let's see. Mm, it's kind of like hard to remember because like at this point I don't really even remember who told me what, but uh, I think like one of the best takeaways I've ever gotten from anyone is always look to what went wrong instead of just blaming everything else. Like ask yourself, what could you have done instead? And that usually like gives you a much better outlook on every single situation. And if you're not like saying, "Oh, I got sacked," "Oh, I got unlucky," anything like that, you ask yourself, "Okay, how could I have possibly won this game? Was there a better way to have played this? It would have been correct to do this other way." Like learning how to play the game like that, I think, just changed everything very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty valuable advice because, like, it's very easy to be like, oh, I bricked or whatever. But I don't know, at least with my games, when I lose, I just kind of sit there and, like, obsess over it and think about, like, what could I have done differently? What happened, what I did. And though that's stressful because it agitates me, it's good because it kind of helps me understand my mistakes and stuff like that. And like I always tell people to watch your replays on Dueling Book or EDO or whatever you use because like when you look back with a fresh mind, you can see things that you couldn't see in the moment and you just learn so freaking much. And if you have a coach like Cody or Esala, you could ask them to look at your replays and they will give you advice on what you could have done. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of coaching because like there was two different people I played against activated a lightning storm when all my monsters were in defense and asked me why I'm not sending my monster to the GY. And I was like, bro, they're not in attack. And they were like, what? And I was like, these fools paid hundreds of dollars to get a playset of Lightning Storm. They don't even know how to work. People should stop putting money into expensive cards and put it into coaching if they really want to get better at the game.
So, I mean, that would be a really simple solution of just reading the card. I think like everyone should probably do that first. Like any card you own, you should probably just read it. It usually works.
Yeah, and like I'll cut people slack if it's something like a pendulum card because it's kind of hard to remember everything. But like Lightning Storm is like readable. Like it doesn't take very long. It's got 2 effects or something like that. So yeah. So I guess first and foremost, read your cards. Second, get coaching from Duelist Academy or Cody. I have to advertise both because I'm partial to Cody, but you're my guest, so I have to advertise that as well.
Right, yeah, sure. Whatever you gotta do, it's fine by me.
What is your best advice for new players?
I mean, like, both those things, pretty important. Read your cards. Always read your cards. Second one, or like, read your opponent's cards. Just read all the cards. Second thing, always ask yourself, same thing that I was taught, is just ask yourself what you could have done. In most situations, you can learn a lot more from a loss than you can from a win, because it's really easy to overlook wins like, oh, I did everything right because it worked out. But, you know, you should always be checking on what you could work on, and you just improve a lot faster. And when you like build a habit of doing that, you notice it a lot quicker. Like in games, I know when I mess up immediately. And I mean, I hate myself for doing it every time, but like I will, you know, I can always see it happening. And then like I'll just fix it later, or like be able to work on that like immediately. Because I caught myself or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty valuable advice type of a thing. Because, like, what happened when I first picked up Drytron, I was going to as many tournaments as possible, but, like, that wasn't giving me adequate time to, like, think about my plays and, like, reflect on my games because I was constantly moving from match to match. So it was actually Pac that told me to stop doing that. He's like, that's not how you learn a deck type of a thing. Like reflection is a really big part of it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Jamming games can be kind of wasteful as far as like just your time, because you can learn a lot more from just analyzing one game than playing like 30.
Yeah.
So helpful hint to combo players though, really don't try to get trapped by the 2-card combo mentality, or not even a 2-card combo. Like if you think you're playing a combo deck correctly because you memorize the combos, I promise you're doing it wrong. Because all like the point of the combo decks, the value that they come from is how flexible the cards are. You get to activate so many of different effects per turn. If you're not constantly getting value of every single card in your hand because you know Alpha Zeta specifically does this one thing, then you're doing it wrong. So, you know, just always pay attention that you have 5 cards in hand. Don't always do it the same way. You like just try to get the maximum value of every single card in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's valuable advice. I'm still learning the type of thing. Drytron was the first combo deck I did. I also picked it up just because I never thought I could do a combo deck, because before that I played a broke-ass Shadal deck, like no Dogmatica. And then, I don't know, I'd always liked Drytrons, but I was just too afraid to pick it up until Cody told me to just go for it type of a thing. So definitely I'm still learning about, like, you have 5 cards, what's the best way to go about it, for sure. Alright, we have a great question. What do you think is the most pressing issue with the current format, and how do you think the ban list can address those issues?
Okay, so it is basically the Drytron of it all. So imagine the meta without Drytron, right? If there wasn't an excessive combo deck where you couldn't possibly play into the board if it was allowed to resolve completely, because it'll have like whichever form of negation you want, perfection, ultimateness, whatever goes along with it, and then likely 2 orange light negates in the hand, however they, you want to get to it. You can't ever deal with that with one card, and it's almost like, even if you do manage to crack through all of it, they have so much follow-up in their graveyard that it's impossible to really, like, or at least improbable, to beat it when they're playing it correctly if you let it happen. So that forces you to play these hand trap decks. You have to play all these cards to just prevent the boards from happening. But if you look at every single other deck in the meta, they are all very, like, not so much fair, but like they're very beatable. Like Appaloosa Revolt, that's pretty easy to break. The Dragon board, it's like, you know, like it's a little bit more, but it's a lot easier to try to break the Dragon board than try to stop it with hand traps. Like the board can be broken, but like trying to stop them from getting there is like a lot harder because they have a lot of better tools. Prank kids again like can fold to things like twin or just like other combinations of cards. It's a lot harder to just try to stop them outright. If Drytron didn't exist, you could build your decks entirely to focus on your engine and crack through the boards instead because of how beatable every other board is. But because Drytron exists, you can't do that. And that will be a persisting problem with all the other future decks that come out. As long as like a combo deck like Drytron exists, you have to play the hand traps to beat that deck. Or, well, instead, if that deck just didn't exist, it wasn't part of the format, you could just build your deck to be more engine heavy, and you can just counter the other decks by playing through it. Like you can play more copies of Droplet, Chalices, maybe Alpha Master, like more of those going second board breaking cards that are a lot better at attacking boards than like the hand traps that are really hit or miss as to how much like they can actually do to these like more powerful decks anyway. And that's like pretty much my take on it.
Wow, that was really deep. Makes me kind of feel bad to play Drytron now that I think about it. Well, it's like my deck is ruining the format.
I mean, like it exists, right? You want to win a tournament, so you should play the deck that like is causing the problem, right? It makes sense. So there's nothing wrong with playing Drytron. Just them letting Drytron exist is the problem. If people don't play Drytron, then they don't see Drytron as a problem, and then they won't hit it. So you're part of the problem. You're part of the solution here by bringing attention to it.
I don't want them to hit my deck. I don't know. I feel like Drytron's not the best deck. Like just
I just don't think enough people know how to play it well. I have not been hand trapped twice and lost. I get hand trapped 4 times and win. Like it's just not how it. Like it's very difficult to stop Drytron if your hand traps aren't Droll Cycle Reader.
Okay, I believe you. Maybe I'm playing the deck wrong. I feel like for hand traps,
the order of operations in Drytron is really important. Like really. Okay. Quick quiz. I guess this is a really simple one. But if you have Nova Emergency, what do you get?
What do I personally get?
Mm-hmm.
With Emergency, you get Alpha, and with Nova, you get Zeta.
Wrong. So you do get see, that wasn't the worst way you could do it. Most people try to go for Nova for Alpha and then Zeta from hand, which is the worst way you could do it. But if you go Emergency for Alpha and then Nova for Gamma, this protects like your Alpha from everything but Gamma and Ash. Most likely it's just going to be Ash because not really many people are maining Gamma. But if your Alpha gets Ashed, which is like worst case scenario, then immediately you contribute that same Alpha for Gamma, losing very minimal card advantage. You still have all the value there because you just go Alpha tribute the Gamma, then Gamma can immediately tribute the Alpha, go into Mu Beta, get you into every other piece you need. It gets you into more pieces immediately. But if you get Zeta and they Ash your Alpha there, you can't do anything. You're required to play, you have to have more pieces in hand immediately to get any value out of it.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense, actually. And then you just make the Fafnir, then send the Zeta, and go about your day.
Yeah, it's all about prioritizing getting to Benten. The reason why Noving for Alpha is wrong is because once the Alpha is in the graveyard, it's not only hit by Ash and Gamma, it's hit by Bell, it's hit by Cycle Reader, it's hit by Crow, it's hit by Skullmeister. Like, there are way more cards that interact with the card in grave than there are in the card in hand. So you want to protect your Alpha at all costs, and then after that, just make sure you have plays if it does get stopped.
What do you think about Preparation of Rites?
Must play.
Okay.
For the same reason, like if Alpha is important, that's because Benten's important. You don't need Alpha to resolve if you already have Benten. If your Alpha gets negated but you already have Benten, you are probably winning the game.
Okay. What do you think about Dragoon and Drytron?
We're the ones that put it in the deck, so yeah, I think it's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have gotten into very heated discussions with many people about whether you need Dragoon or not, and I don't know.
It's not like
the
a
answer.
need thing. It's not a need thing. I just think it like really helps with a lot of how the deck plays into like everything else right now. If everyone is trying to hit your hand, like if they're trying to hand trap you 2 to 3 times per turn, and like you usually just end up sticking with these bodies that do nothing. Like it's like a Diviner that got negated. It might be a Linkuriboh. It might be like a Drytron that resolved. A Dragoon, when they've spent 2 to 3 cards in their hand, it's really hard for them to deal with. And even if they do, they might not be able to kill you. And then your Drytrons are just live in grave, and you get another turn, and that's what like makes the deck powerful. But even more so than that, that was like the original reason we put it in the deck in the first place. But what ended up making it really over the top is how good it was going second. We found that against like decks like Tri-Brigade, when they try to like stop everything you do and you have an answer, right? Because like if you don't have an answer to Appaloosa, nothing you did mattered. But if you find an answer, then usually they can't stop everything you do because they force out something with Revolt. It's very easy to stick 2 bodies when you have 6 cards to play with. And when you get to summon a Dragoon going second into a Tri-Brigade board, they're immediately taking 3,000, guess you get to pop the Shurig. You only need one more thing to kill them. So, like, the window, like, going second that you get, or, like, just, like, the area of how much damage you need to do is that much smaller with Dragoon, that makes it really easy to close out those games. So that's been a huge part about, like, why we don't ever side out Dragoon unless it's against the mirror. The mirror is the only time I side out Dragoon.
Oh, interesting. Man, this is like blowing my mind. I've had so many discussions about Drytron, but yours makes way. Well, what about the bricking though? Doesn't it suck to brick on those things? Like, how many times have I drawn Red Eyes Fusion when I had Dragoon in my deck? Like,
what were they gonna be instead? Were they gonna be more engine? We're playing all the engine we can play. So what were they gonna be instead?
It'd be other cards like Droplets or Twin or something like that.
Would those not brick you?
If you're going second, though? But if you're going first, yes?
Are they always going to do the same thing against every matchup?
No.
I do main Droplet for one, and it's the range that the cards give you. Like if you do draw, like because Drytron plays with like 5 cards like really well, but it can also play with 2 cards just fine. If you draw one of any of the pieces, the rest of your hand usually wins the game anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can do so much with the Dragoon cards, and like I don't know, like our group has been at ends with everyone else on the subject of Drytron since the beginning of Drytron. Like I don't know if you know anything about like the history of Drytron, but we popularized it. Like when Genesis Impact first came out, people didn't think Drytron was a good deck. There was the initial combo with Calamity, with Fiber and Link Cross before certain cards got banned, and then it turned into the Vanity's Fiend, or like the Vanity's Ruler version of the deck that we played specifically. Like we popularized the deck because we were the only ones that did well with Drytron in the beginning, and people eventually went away from that because they went from Ultimateness, which no matter how we looked at it, it was never correct to do, but we weren't, it was too much work to try to argue with everyone every time. But the ruler version just gave you so much more room to develop the deck. And it's just been that way forever. Like people will always play Ultimateness, even though we've always just said there's always been a better version. And like right now we're on pre-prep and perfection. And that's like our way to play the deck because of how good pre-prep, prep, and prosperity are, like just as a whole in your deck. They allow you to play through every single deck, except for the mirror. Like one of the only ways in Engine that you can crack through Appaloosa, Revolt, or just like even a Winda is resolving prep and pre-prep in some capacity. And Prosperity just digs you into those cards. They're power spells that allow you to play into monster interactions, because that's what all decks have right now with this. They only have monster interactions. These cards interact with things like, well, they're just spells. They can't interact with them. And the first activation you do is Dawn, which forces out every single card they have, because if they don't, then you just get to negate it once the perfection hits the field. So like the value that we see that those cards provide is not necessarily universal. Most people like to play Ultimates instead, and we're kind of just done arguing about it. So yeah, Drytron is a sore subject for us as well. I don't know if you noticed, like we care about Drytron a lot. Okay. Not anymore anyway, but so, yeah, we did for the longest time.
What level of Patreon do I need to subscribe to see the list you guys are talking about?
It's free. We provide that kind of stuff anywhere. Like if you go to like our recent VODs, you can see like our post YCS deck profile. Almost all of us went X2, not top, which was very disappointing. But yeah, like Dominic Couch was playing the same main deck as us for the most part, because we gave that to him. Blake is our part of our group. He had like the list. He played. He played like a version of it against you in top 4 of that thing. Mm-hmm. And like yeah, any of those profiles, like there should be a VOD on the Duelist Academy Twitch that goes into pretty good detail about why we made all the choices we made in that list. And the only thing I'd really change right now is I'd main the Droplets. I would just make the deck bigger and I'd main the Droplets.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I've tried many versions, probably like 20. I've tried pre-prep with Dragoon, without Dragoon, prep with Dragoon, without Dragoon, Ultimateness, Perfection. I've tried them all. So there was this cash tourney. It was so sketchy. But I got second. I got $300, and I played pre-prep with Dragoon, and it was dope. It definitely, yeah, I won a lot of games. But then in the finals, I just bricked on the freaking vanillas and stuff like that, and it just pissed me off so bad that I was like it's too many bricks, right? Pre-prep and Dragoon is too many bricks. So like, how do you resolve that?
How many bricks do you think pre-prep comes with?
4. Wait, on its own? Or with
Yeah.
Dragoon? 1?
Like, do you think Perfection is a brick?
No, I think Dawn with the Herald is a brick.
Why?
But because
Like, it's only a brick if you draw it with pre-prep.
yeah, but if you draw Perfection, like you can't use pre-prep.
Like, I'm saying it's only a brick if you draw it with the pre-prep. If you draw Dawn by itself, it makes your plays a lot safer because you should try to resolve the Dawn.
Oh.
Like,
But-
just because pre-prep is in your hand doesn't mean you can't use that Dawn.
Yeah, but then you have to structure everything to get the Perfection and the Ben 10.
You're getting the Venton anyway. You're likely summoning it back from grave off one of the triggers. Like, so usually the step where you're summoning Yugioh or whatever, you will go, okay, use Benten trigger to search Perfection, right? Instead of some other thing.
Mm-hmm.
You use your regular ritual spell, summon back the Benten from grave, activate Dawn.
Okay. And then
And that's
make
what
the
you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you get all the same value because the Benten goes back to your hand and you get the additional search, or you just have Perfection now.
Oh man. I out of all the builds I tried, I thought pre-prep was the best. For sure. And I played Jesse, and the only reason I beat him was because both games I opened pre-prep and resolved it.
Yeah, like
So-
it's usually an auto win if you can summon that like immediately. Like it
Yeah.
makes a lot of the game kind of cheating. So and it's kind of like a pseudo call by the grave that's engine, because if you activate pre-prep and they don't respond to it, that checks a bunch of marks for you. Like you know they don't have Ash. Most people don't know that you can bell it, so you don't really know that they don't have bell. But like it gets a decent amount of the way through, so you feel a little bit safer about using alpha and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
And then like as you can resolve Dawn as early as possible, there's so many other hand traps that they just can't hit you with. Like Cycle Reader, Crow, a bunch of those cards lose a lot of value because you just have these negates already.
Yeah.
So it lets you play through those hand traps more as well.
Yeah. And like Jesse had Cycle Reader, but I happened to have a Diviner in hand, so I negated
Right.
it, and then he just couldn't do anything, type of a thing.
Right. And you get to search another Diviner off the Benten anyway, and it
Yeah.
was done.
Yeah. Oh man, now I want to like completely change my build. I'll hit you up afterwards to get that list.
Sure.
Because I gotta get on Yu-Gi-Oh! TV. I've said it many times, I thought pre-prep was the best build. But then I was just concerned about the bricking. So you would put Dragoon in pre-prep version as well.
That's what we played at the YCS, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I guess I did that. But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I got lucky. But then the finals when I bricked, I was just pissed. But to be fair, don't all decks brick, so like I can't really use that as an excuse to say it's bad because every deck bricks, right, or something.
Yeah, like pretty much every deck has a way to brick. So if it doesn't, then it's not doing enough usually. So
Yeah, someone in the chat said, did Esala get the top 32 in the YCS? I mean, he just said he got like top 2 and top 4.
I went X2, got like 39. Like or did I get like which YCS are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what YCS we're talking about. Guys, what
If we're talking about total YCS tops, like I have 20. So
20 YCS tops. That's nuts.
like or amongst like it's 20 YCS, UDS, WCQ.
Oh, he's talking about
like
remote
tops.
dual YCS.
No, I went X2 and I got like 30 something, 39th I think, like something around there. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Man, this is like the best podcast I've ever had. And that's because we're talking about Drytron. I'm very obsessed with this deck, by the way. Okay.
So are we. Don't worry.
That's cool. We can all be friends. Alright. So, a lot of people are kind of coming back to the game now that sanctioned events are slowly returning. So, do you have any advice for people who picked up the game during the pandemic and how they can prepare for regionals and YCS stuff?
So I mean, it depends on like level of experience, I guess. I mean, it's a big difference depending on how populated your area is, going from a local to a regional to like a YCS. YCS is usually like in person at least. The people that are there, they're trying to win. You're gonna see a lot more meta than you see at locals. Like I've definitely had like between like all my students, I've had very different types of locals. Like there are the locals where almost no one plays meta, and then there are locals that are almost all Tri Brigade, Pranked, like Drytron, Dragon, whatever. Just be really aware of what everyone is doing as far as the meta goes, and that's like the most you can do to really prepare. And then just getting a good amount of games in, getting practice in is always important. Just constantly keep up with how the meta's been updating itself. Don't assume your deck list should stay the same every day. It usually shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the kind of rough thing is like there's two different locals I go to, but like I don't feel like I really know what the meta is because I'll play against like Melfi or Cyber Dragons, and then sometimes I'll play against Try or Dragon Link or Drytron or something like that. But then the the players all have different levels of like skill when it comes to the deck. So I'll play against Drytron players, but they don't know how to play the deck, and so like I just don't know how to get more experience with like like competitive players that play meta. So that's why I'm worried about the qualifiers because it's like, yeah, I can freaking win locals, but like I don't know if that's even reflective of what people are going to be like in the qualifiers.
Yeah, so a big part of that is just having a good testing circle, which is, I mean, easier said than done. It's about meeting the right people. I was lucky enough to like start playing Yu-Gi-Oh in SoCal. Like SoCal had, especially when I was growing up, had some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh players at the time. And so like I just like learned from people that were way better than me, just surrounded myself with people that were way better than me. And like I was always learning from the way they were doing things because if I assumed a deck would function a certain way, and ended up being wrong, it was usually them correcting me because like I would watch them play it and like watching people that are better than you play it, you learn a lot more because you see where you think you would do something a certain way, you see how they're doing it, and you can see why like the way you were doing it was wrong. Like it's really hard to like know what you're doing wrong if you don't know why it's wrong or you don't know what's better.
Yeah.
And then just being exposed to that kind of thing is a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say uh first of all, I live in Southern California, so if you have anyone who will play with me, I would love to be introduced. Hint hint. Second of all, yeah, like I mean, I have like Cody, I have Elise, I have Tatsum, uh, and then I have whoever will let me interview them for the podcast. So that's good, but um, yeah, I think like definitely the best way to learn is, and I've learned a lot is from like losing to better players. But it's just a matter of kind of like getting those people is a big challenge. But yeah, I've also
Yeah.
never been to regionals or YCS. Um, so I'm just looking forward to like my first one. I started a series called The Road to YCS where I document my journey, and it's been dope. Um,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't. Sorry. Okay. Uh, like there are people like if their perspective of the game comes from locals playing online, playing at even regionals. Like I would, depending on where you are, regionals can be like very different. Like if you're in kind of a less populated area, regionals are like 80 people maybe, and it's just like it doesn't even take up your entire day. If you're in a regional in California, like in Southern Cal, or like, no, any part of California, it takes up your entire day. You will likely be getting out at like, well, it used to before like the time rule changes, you were getting out at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
But now you should be getting out at like 9 to 10. But it still takes up your entire day. I wouldn't even consider any of that real compared to what a YCS is. A YCS is a completely different feeling. It's just so much more competitive. It's like it's just the aura of everything around you. How many people are just from like people you've never seen before because they're just from different places. A lot of people travel for these events and just like the general feel of like staying in a hotel room. You seeing how many people are just in the lobby of the hotel room playing the night before, like the night of, like all that kind of stuff. Like it's so different. And I really recommend if you haven't been to a YCS yet, everyone should at least try going to whichever their first like local YCS is. Like if you see one around you, I would really recommend going because I think that is what hooked me on Yu-Gi-Oh for sure. Is like going to my first YCS and all of a sudden I went to my first one and I couldn't stop going to them. And like if you start doing well at them, then you really can't stop. And now here a decade later, I'm still here. So YCS has really just changed the entire thing for me.
Yeah. I never went before just because I was very inexperienced and like I couldn't afford good cards, so I just had really crappy decks, and I was too like nervous to go because I was like I suck and I don't know what the cards do, and also dudes are really weird and I didn't want to deal with it. Which is like
That
why
was
I
real. Yeah.
started Road to YCS because I was like, no, you know what, I should go. And I set up goals for myself and I got better, and then I went to Gamer's Choice and beat people and stuff like that to kind of show that yeah, I could totally do a YCS. It's just a matter of like getting one that I can go to because we're in a freaking pandemic right now is like the big problem.
Getting any YCS would be good. But We can be hopeful. We can expect something to come maybe sooner or later. But until then, we have Master Duel to look forward to, so that'll be something, right? Whenever they announce more stuff on that.
Yeah, that's gonna be sick. I'm really looking forward to that type of thing. I want my own little rescue rabbit. So
Yeah, the rabbit's amazing.
okay. Let's see. So this is a little similar, but I will ask it because it's pretty relevant, especially to me. What suggestions would you have for players looking to take the next step from being a local winning player to a pro player?
Ooh. Well, I mean, like a lot of the stuff is universal, but it's usually about changing your mindset. Like if you like, how do I put this in positive spin? If you're confident winning locals, once you go to the higher tier event, it's usually kind of an eye opener. Like because it's not the same unless your like local is really highly competitive, has like all those people that are just constantly playing at YCSs anyway. Uh, it's just such a big difference as far as competitive levels go. Uh, they're like it comes from understanding, I want to say. So if you're trying to make that jump from winning locals to going to higher tier events and like playing them well, you have to start understanding how to properly play test, understanding how to properly like play within a meta game, like really keeping tabs of everything that's happening, every update in the game, and then learning how to properly play test. So it's a lot of what we talked about before, like not just jamming games. Jamming games like is useful, but it's less useful than like really looking at every game, making sure you're playing correctly, making sure your opponent is playing correctly. Because again, that's what we talked about before. If your opponent is like not as good as at the deck as you would hope them to be, or like they're not playing the strategy properly as to what is going to be played by higher tier opponents at like the higher level event, then you're giving yourself the wrong info. And if you have the wrong info and you prepare using that info at like the higher tier event, and then you get blindsided by them just doing something way different, then that's really punishing and it ruins your whole event. So in your playtesting, you need to make sure both you and your opponent are doing every single thing correctly. Take back plays. It's a bit like you're not supposed to be playtesting to try to win that game. You're supposed to be figuring out if your deck is good, if your opponent's deck is good, how the matchup works, if certain cards are good. Like the mindset is completely different. It's not about winning in that moment. It's about winning far later. So learning how to change your mindset for that kind of thing, I would say, is the big ticket between moving from locals to the higher stages.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't know, like, losing sucks, but, like, when I play against someone who I can tell is really good, and they, like, break my board or do something really nuts, I just get, like, a rush. I'm just like, this is so fun. And if I lose, I'm pissed, but, like, if I lost to a good player, like, I'm happy in a way just because, like, I just have a lot of respect for them. Like, oh, you played very well, and I'm very impressed. It just, like, gives me a lot of joy. Like, if I lose because my opponent activates Mystic Mine, and I have no spell trap removal, and they deck me out, like, I'm pissed, because I could have gotten the Kyber Trophy, but Mystic Mine got in my freaking way. But, point being, I think, yeah, those are all really good points for sure.
Well, even in the Mystic Mind situation, have you asked yourself how you could have possibly won that game? Like, did you get hand trapped to oblivion, or were you allowed to like play out your turn? Like, could you have ended on a Draconids basically? If you knew the Mystic Mind is potentially in their deck, ending on a Draconids is key.
Uh, so you can send it when it's
Yeah,
activated?
because
How do you
Draconids is
end
usually good
on
versus most of the decks.
how do you end on ultimateness or perfection and dragonids though?
Usually it involves resolving a Dawn because you need to use one additional ritual spell to get out your other guy. But then it's like, or you had prep or something of the sort to get an additional ritual spell use. But then it's really easy. It's just about having the Draconids in the grave, and then you just like activate the ritual spell, like send the Mubeta and like any other thing, like a material under it, or just both materials under it, and equip it. Certain hands can easily summon, like usually they're pre-prep hands, but usually they can summon the Herald, the Draconids, and a Mubeta still with the material under it, so you get the additional spell and trap negate. But against certain matchups, it's a lot easier for your ultimates to be interacted with than anything else. So sometimes you just want to split it up and just go Draconids Dragoons. Like sometimes I would choose to go Draconids Dragoons instead of like Perfection Ultimatus, whichever, because it's a little bit more varied and forces them to have more cards to stop it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I usually go for dragonids if I get like drolled or something like that.
Yeah.
if I can't go for the Herald, then I'll go for the Draconis. Or if I'm going second to OTK or something like that. But yeah, my board, I had Dragoon and Perfection and some other crap. And then he kaiju'd the Perfection. And then I didn't want to use Dragoon, and then he summoned a kaiju and crashed. And then he activated Mystic Mine, and then I was like, oh.
Okay, there's literally nothing you could do. There's literally nothing. The most you could do was like maybe an IP, but like yeah, there was nothing you can do to that. I guess it's like a literal break your board strategy. Like maybe I don't know what the deck was. Maybe you're supposed to let them start, but yeah, it's that one's weird for sure.
But to be fair, I was a little cocky because I was like, dinos suck. And then yeah, but I learned a big lesson. Just have, I don't know, at least one twin, just in case. Maybe.
Like there's dinos, I'm not so sure, but like I mean, yeah, I guess like keeping the duster in your deck can be something.
Yeah, it's just like I'm traumatized from that experience that like, yeah.
I mean, if it's game 3, you probably just shouldn't scoop, because it bluffs that you have an out in your deck if you're just constantly drawing and waiting.
I let him deck me out.
Okay. Because usually they might like try to out their own Mystic Mine so they can kill you, and then that's your chance. But
yeah, but yeah. I was low in life because I activated Verte, and so basically I was like, "Are you gonna deck me out?" And he's like, "Either that or it'll be time and I win." And I was like, I hate this guy so much. If it wasn't for that Kyber trophy, I probably would have been a better sport, but I was pretty pissed about it. So,
okay.
Yeah, but
you have to bluff it. You have to pretend like you have an out in the deck, and so like you're just kind of like drawing fast, trying to edit, and then he's gonna try to break your board, and if you just have stuff, then you might be able to get out of it. Oh, but you have to you have to pretend like you do have an out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I'm very it's very obvious on my face about anything. It's very obvious. I do not know how to bluff. I tried bluffing once. I was like, how many summons is that? To be like, oh, I have a Nibiru, and the guy just kept summoning. I was like, yeah, it was worth a shot.
Like that's usually like I feel like whenever anyone asks that, like it's almost like disrespectful. Because then I'm just like, I know you don't have Nibiru. If you think you're gonna get me with that, but like yeah.
To be fair, I'm much better now, but like earlier in the game I would ask that when I had Nibiru because I just lost track of how many summons it was. Now I'm a lot better, I don't do that, but
sure.
It was worth a shot that one time and it just didn't work. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I could get lessons on bluffing because I do not know how to do it. Maybe I should have been just like, practice. Oh, good thing I sided in twin. Just wait till I drop it. It's gonna be sick. Oh
no, that kind it's always the subtle stuff. The subtle stuff works. Never, if you go over the top and like use a lot of words, it's not going to work. You just have to be really subtle about it. It's not about like just body movements and stuff. Like body language is how you get the bluffs going.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta find a poker player and learn from them. Well, I guess Yu-Gi-Oh players would know how to bluff as well.
It's really simple. You just have to like when you do something, pretend like do something as if you know. You have something, and then it's about acting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I am a comedian, but I wouldn't call myself an actress at all. But I'm
definitely not an actor. Like, yeah.
Huh?
I'm definitely not an actor, so it's just like you just have to get used to doing the little things, and then it eventually works for you.
Okay, all right.
It's so rare that you even have to bluff anyway in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. So.
All right, I'll see what's up. I'll try to be. Yeah, I'll see what's up for sure. Alright, so we only have a couple minutes left. This interview has flown by. So, okay. Chat, if you have any questions, drop it. I guess I would ask, what deck do you like that you wish was more competitively viable?
After, I'm so jaded now. I've been playing for too long, so I don't get attached to decks anymore. But I guess, I really want Live Twin to be better, but, I think there is some other deck that I'm just not thinking about right now. That never got its time in the sun that I wish was better, but, I don't know. It's usually pretty rare. I do not get attached to a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm very willing to just go on to the next one because I've just been doing it for years. So
What was your first like banlist experience when they hit your prize deck? How did that feel? Because that's gonna happen to me.
uh yeah, like the first time understanding that a ban list happened, I'm pretty sure I was playing Blackwing and like Kalute went to one maybe, or like I lost like my Gales and stuff. It was weird. Oh, like when Goyo got banned, I was so sad. But like I don't know. Like at that point, I was just kind of too in. Because usually, what happens with me now when a ban list happens, I'm not sad about what I lost. I'm excited about what's new. What can I make now? Like with this like new world of cards, like this new card pool, essentially. What is good now? And I'm very excited about trying to deck build with something new, just because every time Yu-Gi-Oh changes, that's what excites me the most. So I don't know. I think that even was the case back then. I was just excited to try something new,
Okay.
and like Blackwings was still fine. So like, I got away easy in my first ban list. So like it was only like Kaluk going to one, or like sometime later going got banned. But yeah,
Okay, yeah. I might cry if Drytron gets hit. I might just bawl.
Ben 10 has to get banned. Ben 10 just needs to get banned.
What? She did nothing
There's no.
wrong.
She did everything wrong. She did everything wrong.
uh, just hit Eva, right?
What? What would that do?
It just means I can't stock up on like 6 negates.
Like, that's not the problem. Like realistically, Ben 10 causes a lot of other issues because of not being a once per turn and just other like things. But they could push Magic Key, because it's another ritual deck that you can splash in with Drytrons and stuff. So like because other ritual cards exist, they can keep Drytron alive. But Ben 10 will always be better than every other ritual support because it's just not once per turn. So
Oh.
it has to go, in my opinion. Like I think that's the card that we would lose.
Oh my. Oh man, this is depressing me. Okay. Well, we're gonna end the interview and go into a duel. And I will use
Sure.
Benton to the best of my ability in hopes of
Okay,
beating
me.
Esala. Alright. Thanks for checking us out. Please like, comment, subscribe. And we will eventually be on Spotify when I stop being lazy and figure out how to do that. Alright, thanks guys, and I will see you later.